Hi everybody, welcome along to today's webinar. Thanks so much for joining us. We are just in the throes of getting everybody admitted and set up and ready. So we'll be kicking off very shortly. We're really excited to be speaking to you today about utilising AI to supercharge e-commerce growth. We've been working quite closely together last few weeks in preparation for the webinar, and there's some really fantastic tips and tricks that you'll be able to take today. So I will kick off very shortly. I'll just give it another 30 seconds or so before we jump in. But in the interim, again, to those that have just joined us, welcome to today's webinar. I'm Lois and I'll be chairing the session, and we are thrilled to have you on board with us today. It's going to be a really insightful discussion on the role of AI and business growth. So firstly, for those of you that we haven't met yet, and I think we've met most of you, but let me introduce you to Sozo. We're a full-service digital agency with a core focus on e-commerce and now AIO. We're celebrating 25 years in business this year, which is really exciting. And throughout that time, we have helped numerous e-commerce brands to stand apart in this crowded marketing space that we find ourselves in. So without further ado, let's introduce our speakers, and you will notice a slight change up to the advertisement. So initially it was going to be Christian and Mark, our head of e-commerce, presenting to you today. We did find out yesterday that Mark's unable to join us due to an early new arrival in the family. So that's really, really exciting, but it has meant that we've had to do a little bit of last minute jiggery pokery to facilitate. So Joseph has very kindly stepped in and will be supporting myself and Christian throughout the session. If you haven't met Christian yet, Christian is our head of search, and Joseph is our marketing director. And I think most of you will have already met me. I'm Lois, digital account manager. So before we jump into the good stuff, just a bit of housekeeping. You'll notice that the mics and the cameras are all switched off, but the session is being recorded for those that couldn't make it today. So you will receive a recording and a follow-up with all the bits and bobs. Don't worry about making notes. You'll have everything sent through to you afterwards. And throughout the session, please feel free to use the Q&A function. In fact, we actively encourage you to use the Q&A function. You'll find that down at the bottom of the screen. It is hiding behind the shapes in the bottom right. Please leave a name, because if we don't get round to your question today, then we will follow up with you afterwards. I think that covers off everything that we needed to cover off. So let's just admit another one and let's get going. So we're going to focus today on following the 4 key sections of the traditional marketing funnel, starting with discovery, then conversion, decision, and post-purchase, and looking at how AI can help to supercharge each aspect of the funnel. So let's start at the top with discovery or awareness, often overlooked by e-commerce brands. We are guilty sometimes of jumping straight in for that coveted conversion, but we should be casting the net wide and telling people who we are and what we do before we try and sell to them. So before we go into loads of detail, Joseph, can you tell us a little bit about what's happening in the search landscape at the moment with that discovery phase in mind?
Yeah, absolutely, Lois. Really, I just think overall that throughout the funnel journey or user journey, particularly in e-commerce, one thing that I viewed as a seismic change in search and a statement that was made. All 3 of us attended Brighton SEO at the beginning of the year, and there's some incredible insights come out of that. But the one statement that hit me more than anything other, that was by the year 2030, currently predictions are the more searches will take place in ChatGPT than take place in Google. That's a considerable switch over from the position that we are at the moment. And obviously, Google aren't going to sit still. They're certainly going to be fighting that. But that's where the data projection is at this moment in time. And really just around that statement, it makes us understand that brands that are currently positioned in Google, we may even be seeing a loss in organic traffic at the moment. We need to make sure that brands are also positioned in LLMs such as ChatGPT.
Great. Thanks, Joseph. Over to you, Christian, to elaborate on that, please.
Yeah, it was fascinating attending Brighton SEO. And as Joseph mentioned, you know, if Google sat still and didn't do anything, then certainly by 2030, we could well be seeing more people using AI tools like ChatGPT to search online. But Google are moving forward. They're making huge advances. What we've seen over the last 12 months, we've done a number of these webinars now, and in December we talked a lot about you know, the rollout of Google's AI overviews. So what we're seeing now, AI overviews is very much here, and we're seeing over 60% of Google searches now ending without a click. So this has been driven by Google AI overviews that has rolled out throughout the UK quite heavily over the past 12 months. You can see just there in the screenshot an example of one of our e-commerce clients, Smart Home Sounds. This is an example of winning in AI overviews where you are the top citation on the right-hand side for a query that the user has made. But in this kind of scenario, the user's getting a response to their query straight within the search results using surfaced information from brands like Smart Home Sounds. It then mitigates the user needing to click through to a website in the old sort of traditional way of search. And so if I move forward, Google's AI overviews is now already here. But next, we've got the new Google AI mode, which is on its way to the UK and is currently just in the US and being rolled out across the US as we speak. And this is really the next level of search beyond what we've been accustomed to over the last 12 months. This is where the likes of what we're seeing with ChatGPT and Google Gemini now finding its way into traditional Google search results, where users are moving away from the traditional click in and out of a website and are now having conversations and follow-up conversations with Google straight within the interface without having to go to a separate AI tool. Really fundamental changes in the way that people are searching online that is going to drastically change the way that users search, particularly as we roll out over the next to the UK over the next 12 months. As I mentioned, that is currently being rolled out in the US, but it's going to be on its way soon to the UK in the same way that we've seen Google AI overviews. So something that a lot of e-commerce brands are going to be questioning in terms of their measurement, their visibility across AI overviews, AI mode, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and the rest, is if you have strong SEO, will that be enough to perform well in AI overviews and LLMs like ChatGPT? So the good news is that strong SEO is a great foundation, but it doesn't guarantee that your brand will stand out in AI overviews and AI tools. So let's dive straight in, and here are 4 key takeaways for improving your e-commerce brand's discovery. So takeaway number 1, so optimize your content to appear in AI overviews by using scannable, fact-rich paragraphs, well-structured markup, and on-page FAQs. And make sure your titles and the introductions for your content clearly convey answers to key questions. So this is an example of one of our other e-commerce clients, physical company, winning in AI overviews. You can see them cited at the very top of AI overviews here for a relevant keyword search. Notice how the top organic search result below the AI overview is yoga strong. Despite them being the top organic result, they are not cited in the AI overview. So this is an example of giving clear, coherent answers to key questions to win in AI overviews. Takeaway number 2, so adding what's called an LLMs.txt file, quite a mouthful there, to your website to help AI tools find and use your best content. If you don't do this, then you're effectively leaving it up to AI tools to interpret and understand your website content and your brand however it deems fit. But this is like an SEO signal, but for AI. It helps you guide which pages to get picked up for in AI-generated answers. This is being rolled out for WordPress plugins like Rank Math and is available through Yoast, and there's other plugins and extensions that are already coming out for this.
Christian, is it worth just on that takeaway point 2 mentioning that it's important to check that your hosting company will actually allow LLMs to access that file as well. Sometimes hosting companies will block access because of the regularity of interrogating, and that can slow a site down. It might be worth something to just check.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for raising that, Joseph. Indeed, because of similar to how Google crawls a website or any kind of third party, the amount of crawls that come to your website within a given time frame from like ChatGPT or Google Gemini, there could be server configurations there to block certain third-party bots. So it's worth establishing what AI tools can understand of your website and your brand to get the best possible visibility. So takeaway number 3, building your brand authority across the web. So Trustpilot, Google Map reviews, forums, Reddit discussions, coupling that with high quality, engaging content can all increase your likelihood of being cited. You'll notice here on the left-hand side a ChatGPT prompt where I'm asking to find reputable Sonos retailers with great prices in the UK. And the sources that the AI tool uses, as you can see on the right-hand side, so the website, which reinforces how important your website still is, but then it's cross-referencing with other sources. So it's looking up on Trustpilot. Because I've used the phrase reputable in my prompt, it is then looking for third-party reviews to determine brand authority. So don't just focus on your website and your content in isolation. Build your authority across the web. And then finally, takeaway number 4, accept that zero-click impressions are still valuable. So being mentioned within an AI summary keeps your brand top of mind, even without a click to your website. Again, this is one of our other e-commerce clients, Just Fabrics, winning in AI overviews. They are as high up as they can possibly be in AI overview for this particular keyword phrase. But it's what we cannot change, whether it's yourselves or your competitors. The change in the landscape is that users can get the answers to their question from your surfaced content without now clicking to your website. But the brand citation is still important. Lois, I shall hand back to you for the next phase.
Thank you. That was really insightful, Christian. And I think it comes back to something that we're saying time and time again, doesn't it? You know, we might be seeing a reduction in clicks through to the website, but what we are seeing is an increase in the quality of traffic that's coming through to the website. So I think we've just got to be positive and remain positive and start looking differently at the metrics that we're measuring. Perfect. Okay, great. So we've gone through the discover phase, we've implemented some AI wizardry, and the user is now aware of the brand. So how can we utilize AI to take that awareness and translate it into meaningful engagement and nurturing? Once a user knows their need, they start then to compare options. So the goal here at this stage is to move from being visible in search to being the preferred option, the chosen one, you might say. There's lots of AI tools that can help growth here. But I think something that's really key that's often overlooked is the prompting. So we wanted to just look quickly at 4 things or 4 ways that you can prompt an AI tool. So first and foremost, we need to be paying real close attention to what we're feeding into ChatGPT or Google Gemini. Anybody can generate a basic product description based on an image and a few lines of text. But we need to be smarter than that. We need to create descriptions that are meeting user intent. So when it starts looking at kind of your core prompt, this sets the role of the AI tool. So it forms the scope of work, and it is all kind of that basic stuff. For example, you are an e-commerce copywriter. Create me a product description in the following format: product headline, short paragraph, bullet list of 4 to 6 key features, and a short closing line. Use a confident but personable tone suitable for a luxury home decor brand. That's the core prompt. And I think a lot of people stop there, but let's not do that. Let's include more information. Let's talk about the name of the product, the price, the type of product, the category that it belongs to, a seed description, the target market that we're looking at with this product. Let's feed in technical information. Let's upload PDFs for manuals and tech specs to support that product description. And let's feed in our keywords that we want to rank for on that product. You know, including those priority keywords for SEO is only going to help to optimize that content. And of course, it will still need human eyes and a human touch. But including all that will really help to output a more optimized and personalized product description. If that sounds a bit much though, we have worked closely with clients to build out custom GPTs that kind of do all that for you. Joseph, do you want to talk a little bit more about how we've done that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you'd have to ask somebody like Christian or Mark on how these things work under the bonnet and the technology behind it all. But as a user, as somebody that can come in and really simplify everything that you've just described there, Lois, by using a custom GPT such as the one you're screen sharing at the moment. This one is for product descriptions particularly. How this works basically is that you have a content bucket behind the scenes. You describe there information that can be fed into that content bucket. So it could be, for example, the brand guidelines. It could be your ideal customer profile and descriptions around that ideal customer profile, your main competitors, your marketing strategy. All of this can feed the product description information that's being presented and being generated by these custom GPTs. And they're so simple to use as well. In this example Christian's built, you're prompted with a question. So it's a step-by-step process where you answer the questions. The information and the product description that's provided takes into consideration all of that background research, all of that background information, and gives you the very best product description available.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Joseph, you can refine these. So if you start using them and you think actually it's missing something or the output isn't quite as strong as what it can be, you can refine the engine of it effectively to improve your productivity and improve the quality of the output further.
It's so clever, isn't it? If you're interested in a demo, though, we can organise that. We'd be happy to set up a call with you after the webinar and kind of go through how these custom GPTs work and how they might work for your business. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to look at consideration stage is comparisons. So in this phase of the journey, users are educating themselves to figure out which product is going to be best for them. So you'll be seeing more and more of these comparison style tables showing up in AI overviews and your ChatGPT searches. So if you're not addressing these comparisons yourself, AI might be doing it for you. And it's really important that we're feeding the tools the right information to ensure that your product or the preferred product is coming out on top. It's not just a case of comparing your product versus a competitor's product, but it's also taking into account comparing the differences between your products, so that we're not only helping to support the user experience and make that customer journey a really seamless one, but we're also feeding the AI tools all the right information so that it can display adequately.
I think that's really important, Lois. Sorry to jump in. It's a little bit like that LLM text file I showed it in the
yeah, exactly.
phase. It's, you can just leave AI tools to kind of do the hard work and make an assumption or an understanding of your brand. But it's things like this where if you create this content and you then give it access through that LLM text file, it gives AI tools more of a steer, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. So definitely be getting to work on those comparison tables and have a look at your competitors and see who they're comparing themselves against, because that will give you a really good steer. Next up, we wanted to talk about media production. Joseph, do you want to jump in on this one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Thanks, Lois. Yeah, I think this is a really exciting development. Often for an SME, it's really quite challenging to produce the quality of creative that's needed and that's expected by somebody that's visiting your e-commerce website. But using tools like Kling AI and Polo AI no longer really need to have a photo shoot set up for every single product and every single scenario. And if we just move on to the next slide, there's a really nice example here. So you can see the prompt there. I'm not going to read that out, it's on screen, but the principle behind this is that we have this soundbar as a cutout image. If that was the only image that you had, it's not very enticing. It's not going to encourage somebody to add that product to cart. What you want to do is attract to the right sort of person by putting that product into a situation that they recognize. So the image that's shown here into a modern apartment, again, it just takes a user further down that journey and entices them more to add that product to cart. And so you've got the option here with AI. You could put this image into multiple different scenarios. You could put it into a barn conversion, a country home, a town home. You get the principle. It's there to help you put your product into various situations without going to the expense of a professional photographer and setting that studio up across each of those various positions. But that takes things one step further with image generation. I think you'd agree the quality is now exceptional. But even beyond that, video creation. Video creation is, if we just move on to the next slide.
I was just going to quickly add to that, Joseph. Like one of the e-commerce brands we're working with are keen to expand to the US, and we've been adapting their creative and their messaging to align to their US audience aside from their core UK audience. And this is a really powerful way that they could, as you said, Joseph, position their products that are predominantly for a UK audience, but position them with, say, a more US aligned backdrop to better speak to that new audience that they're expanding to.
Yeah, and it's not, that's a really good point, Christian. It's not just on site this imagery can be used. This imagery can be used throughout all of your ad campaigns as well. So say you've got a meta ad campaign and you're looking to attract a particular persona type, then you can create all of your imagery with that persona type in mind, and you're absolutely going to engage with that persona in a better way. So yeah, taking things on to the next stage is then video creation. So from a couple of still images here, we've got a loop video that's been put in place. I think it's quite interesting as well. We did a little bit of research on this and found a vast array of figures, didn't we? But the principle is there that if you put a video on a product landing page, your conversion rate is going to increase. We saw figures up to 86% increase in conversion rate. What we've seen across the brands that we work with, it's a minimum of 30% increase conversion rate when video is added into a product landing page. So I think this breaks down a lot of barriers in cost, in time, and the results now are of an excellent quality.
It's just come so far, hasn't it, so quickly? I've got to admit, even even now when people use the phrase AI generated images or AI generated video, I kind of have to take a breath and go, okay, show me. But it just goes to show, like, there are tools out there that can really streamline this process and really, really wow. Yeah.
It just makes this quality of creativity accessible to all. Whereas, you know, take that back 12 months, the expense in generating video and imagery potentially could isolate that quality.
Great stuff. We've had some lovely questions drop in so far. Please keep them coming. So moving into the decision stage, we've guided the user on their journey. We've taken them from being completely non-aware to actively engage with the brand. So the next step is getting them to make that purchase. How can we use AI to increase conversion rates? Christian.
Thank you, Lois. So what we touched on back in the discovery phase with Google surfacing more content, which can prompt less website clicks, it's quite daunting for a number of e-commerce brands. But another reason is that you could be seeing more of your users using AI tools like ChatGPT and Google Gemini instead of Google traditional search. So this is a live client example from one of our e-commerce brands, and this shows their recent week-to-week pickup in measurement from AI tools. Now, it's still sort of growing, but what we're seeing is when we look at this for a number of our clients, where we're starting to measure their AI traffic as part of our new AI optimization service, we're seeing this grow a lot compared to even previous month, but especially compared to last year. There's an increasing amount of users across all age brackets that are moving away from traditional search and more into AI-driven search. And then what's really exciting, I think, for e-commerce brands, particularly if you're concerned about a drop-off in website traffic, is that when your users are researching and they're in that consideration discovery phase, when they actually arrive to your website, what we are typically seeing across a lot of our e-commerce clients is that when their users do arrive to their website from AI tools like ChatGPT, the conversion rate is then significantly higher. So where your expected benchmark conversion rate might typically be 2 to 3% across all channels, what we're seeing is that when users come from AI tools, it can be in excess of 10%. With this particular client example, it's as high as 13%. And we think one of the reasonings here, which has also been reaffirmed from a recent report from SEMrush this month, is that AI search visitors tend to convert better because they're using AI tools to compare options and understand value before then they visit your website. So then the key question is, how do we best nurture those users at the decision phase when they then eventually come to want to purchase and arrive at your website? So then Lois, do you want to steer on this? Do you want me to talk through it?
I don't mind jumping in, yeah. So looking at chat agents, so a lot of the pushback that we get on live chat as an agency is internal resource. Businesses just don't have the staff available to man a live chat function all day long. But the landscape's really evolved here, and AI chat agents and conversational AI are completely changing the game. They're not just answering generic questions, although they can, and they do that very well. They act more like personal shopping assistants, which can be really, really valuable to that user journey. So with the decision phase being that critical moment where the buyer's shortlisted their options and they just need a nudge in the right direction, an AI chat agent could be the difference between making the sale or not making the sale. And I think an added bonus here is that a large proportion of UK purchases are happening between the hours of 6 and 10 or at weekends. And even if we had humans in the office at that time, it would be a skeleton. Having somebody on live chat during those hours, it's just not feasible. So we can continue to service customers throughout those busier times. And we can fill these AI chat agents with FAQs, blog content, product information. And so these AI chat agents can just become so sophisticated in their understanding. They take away all the hard work for you. So there's a number of different tools that we can use to help with that. If it's something that you'd be interested in finding out a little bit more about, we'd be happy to help match you up with the right tool for your business. But please do not overlook AI chat agents because we're thinking it's the live chat that needs that human resource. It doesn't, and it's brilliant.
Yeah. Thank you, Lois. Just moving on to the next point. I'm also really mindful of our time. Gosh,
I know, yeah.
Talk all day about this. We've been working with a lot of our e-commerce clients with using Microsoft Clarity. This is a really exciting development because it's a CRO tool. For those of you that have been familiar using something like Hotjar, which is a paid tool or has limited free features, Microsoft Clarity has come on board and it uses AI with Bing Copilot. And it means that you can get heat maps, you can get video recordings, but it couples with AI. So the AI does the legwork and saves you hours and hours of time. It saves you having to trawl through video recordings, and it will give you those recommendations and insight. Lois, I wasn't sure if you wanted to add anything to what I've mentioned there.
No, just to say on this example specifically, and I think Mike might be on the call actually, but we worked with the Atwells team because we found that people weren't interacting as well as they should be with the menu. And so we made the decision to pull out the search bar and put that front and center. And all of this was based on findings that we got through from Clarity. And as a result, we're seeing much more activity happening on the site. The search bar is being used more, and customers that use site search are 2 to 3 times based on our data more likely to convert than non-search users. So a real small change that we made there, but a huge impact that it's had. So yeah, that was just that. Just to explain that example there.
Super briefly, just to emphasize as well, Clarity gives you an enormous amount of data, and having that inbuilt AI tool to interrogate the data just means that you can pull that information out and make it into an actionable point.
Yeah, and it's been great working with our clients on this because it still takes a specialist to spot the nuance, interpret intent, and then determine what you do next with that data. Yeah. So it's been great working with our clients on that and helping determine how they can improve their conversion rate. So Lois, that brings us on to the final stage of post-purchase.
Yes, so we've put the work in, we've got the conversion, but it doesn't stop there. As we all know, cost per acquisition is on the up. So how can we make sure that it pays off by keeping customers engaged, ensuring that they return to buy again? In the words of McKinsey & Company, 80% of customers are more likely to repurchase from brands that offer a personalized experience. So how can we really tailor the post-purchase experience? A lot of e-commerce businesses just simply haven't got the time to put into building out super complex post-purchase journeys. But without a strategy, we're risking losing customers that took a lot of work and budget to acquire. So it's important that we put in as much time as we can, but automate it to streamline the workflow. We can use AI tools here to spot opportunities by analysing customer order rates, triggering timely emails and SMS messages. And it might just be a simple reorder reminder for a consumable product or a loyalty reward or just a helpful nudge when website activity drops off. But implementing all of these things really will help to nurture those existing customers and ensure that they're returning again. So if we move on to the next slide, there is an example here from Dollar Shave Club. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there, which gives users tailored recommendations based on the specific product that they've ordered. So all of these products that are recommended here complement the initial product that was ordered. And what's really clever about this is this email is triggered before the order's dispatched. So it allows the customer to add additional products onto their order prior to the initial dispatch. And I just feel like that's a really smart way to increase average order value. Kind of gives them a second chance. Static email flows or generic kind of, you might also like, suggestions, they can convert and they are great and they're definitely better than nothing. But if we can start to layer that with segmentation and timing to ensure that flows are super relevant, that's where we see the best results. We can also use, oh, sorry, I've lost we've moved to,
sorry,
is that
Lois.
slide? No. I was just going to say we can use AI tools within marketing platforms as well, email marketing platforms, to analyze best send windows and kickstart segmentation. So all of these kind of built-in tools within Klaviyo and within MailChimp, make sure that you're familiar with them, make sure that you understand how they work and how you can be using them, because they can really help to streamline that post-purchase journey. Joseph, anything to add on that, or shall I move straight on? I think I should probably move straight on, shouldn't I?
I think time would stay.
Okay, so finally, and this is just a super quick one, is reviews. So most brands have a preferred review provider. So it might be Trustpilot or reviews.io. You're probably watching them and replying to reviews as they're dropping in. But by pairing those platforms with email marketing tools like Klaviyo, we can leverage specific feedback events. So, for example, if a customer was to leave a negative review or a review less than 3 stars, we can send them a unique email flow versus those that might leave a 4 or 5-star review. So just making sure that that experience is super personalized and that we're not sending a generic one-size-fits-all email out to thank a user for leaving it, to thank a user for leaving a review, whether it's a 1-star or a 5-star. AI tools can really help us to tailor that content and make sure that we are leaving brand conscious responses to those actions. So we're taking into account their feedback and curating a response that's appropriate. It's all on autopilot, but it's scale, and that's what's really exciting here. So lots of different things that we can do in that post-purchase journey. And as Christian said, we could go on for hours, but we are very quickly running out of time. So I will wrap up on the funnel, and we can move on to the Q&A, because I think that's the really important section here. So for e-commerce brands that are aiming to scale, embracing AI isn't optional, it is essential. Your competitors are catching on. They're already starting to adapt these tools, so it's really important that we're not falling behind, and that we are positioning our businesses to lead in an increasingly competitive and intelligent and intent-driven marketplace. Christian, I know you wanted to mention the new service that we're looking to launch, AIO. Did you want to?
Yeah. So we're offering a free 30-minute consultation for any brands and e-commerce brands that just want to have a conversation about our new service and see how we might be able to drive new growth for their business. So if that's you, if it's something you're interested in, you've got a QR code here and a website URL. and we'll post it and send it across outside of this webinar. But that will take you straight to my Google Calendar. So feel free to do that. Set up a 30-minute call. It'd be great to speak to you more about how our new AI optimization service can help uplift and drive your new growth through the likes of ChatGPT and Google Gemini, and looking very much beyond just Google traditional search.
Thanks, Christian. Okay, I hope we've given you some food for thought in all those things that we've covered, and there is just so much of it. If you haven't had a chance yet, you can still drop questions into the Q&A. We're probably not going to get to all of them, but for those who have left anonymous questions, please do drop a name on them if you can, so we can come back to you afterwards. We did have a question sent in ahead of today's session from Gemma, and Gemma asked to share top 3 use cases for using AI in workflows for e-commerce businesses. I feel like we've answered a lot of these already, but Christian and Joseph, just super quickly, your number 1 use case of using AI in a workflow?
Image creation.
Nice.
I would go that I completely agree with Joseph. I would say I see a lot of e-commerce brands now doing quite a bit with it with images. So use AI, as Joseph said, to save time and improve your output on images. But I think there's a lot of e-commerce brands that are still struggling to adopt and really go full steam ahead with video. So I would then see what AI can do for you with video, which, you know, in traditional terms would have been quite time consuming and costly. See what AI can produce for you off the back of your strong image creation.
Great.
I think as well, Lois, if I've got 30 seconds,
yeah.
One thing that's a really useful exercise is to have a look at your entire workflow and see where the challenges are with time and mundane jobs and ones that could be improved with AI agents, such as the one that we demonstrated there on product descriptions. Often brands will have thousands of products on there. How do you go about optimizing? How do you go about addressing that? AI agents such as this that we demonstrated briefly there can help out with that. I think that process, just to check, and at each stage, everything, can AI help to optimize that workflow?
Yeah, and I would add to that with tools like n8n.io, you can take AI automation and workflow to the next level. You can identify tedious pain points post-purchase and at any stage of the journey, identify what those are with your internal team, and you can use tools like this to address those tedious points, automate your workflow, and free up and get that time back for your team and put it into the areas where your team most need to focus.
Great. Hope that answers your question, Gemma. Yeah, there are far too many. For me, it would be the AI chat agents. I think they're just fantastic. Next question comes from Peter. And Christian, I think, well, both of you, I think, will be well placed to answer this one. Will we see more social media accounts and videos show up in AI search summaries?
Yes, there is present. I mean, things are changing all the time with search at the moment. It has been a fast-paced 12 months. The latest thing we've seen with social in particular is that just now, throughout the coming weeks, you're going to see a lot more of Instagram appearing in search results. So Google is effectively bringing more and more social. We anticipate this is, you know, Google trying to appease a younger demographic that are increasingly being influenced and searching elsewhere outside of Google. So this is a means of Google addressing certain demographics and getting people back onto Google. So look out for more Instagram in particular.
Excellent. We've also had a couple of questions come in with regards to compliance and legal rights to using AI imagery. I feel like this is a much bigger conversation than we can fit into a minute. So
I spotted those, Lois. I Could I skip to one that would be really answer? Somebody requested which software we recommend, or is available for image and video creation. I can answer that one super quick. So that's Kling AI and Polo AI. Those were the two that we cited as part of the webinar. The other side of things, if the requests are anonymous, if somebody could clarify who that's from, and then hopefully we can help out.
Yeah, but it might be a case that we follow up on compliance and legal rights and things with a blog or something along those lines, because there's a lot to cover off there.
Definitely.
I am conscious that we are at time for the day. I think we've answered as many questions as we can. A huge thank you to Christian, of course, for being the oracle, for Joseph for stepping in at the last minute and helping us out. And of course, everybody that's joined us to listen in today, and for the really insightful questions as well. There is so much more to cover, so please keep your eyes peeled on the blog. There will be an ebook coming round to you as well. It's just the beginning of a really big conversation, so we can't wait to continue that with you. In the meantime, follow along on LinkedIn and YouTube for more snippets of digital wizardry from Joseph and Christian and the team. And stay tuned for more webinars coming soon. As always, we'd love your feedback, so drop us a line on LinkedIn and let us know what topics you'd like to see us cover off next. Thanks so much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. We'll catch you again next time.
Thank you all.
Take care.